Hey, what's up, everyone? Wally here. Hope you guys are doing super well. And in this video, I wanted to cover the 9 steps of conversational closing, right? So, my company, we focus on chat closing, right? So, this is having a conversation with someone and getting them to buy a product or service without actually getting on the phone, right? This is actually all through DMs, no phone calls, anything like that. And so, this is like my step-by-step process for doing that, right? And this is more of a framework, right? This isn't like script by script. This is more of like the psychology or kind of like the steps that I want to take someone through that will get someone to purchase from me in the chat, right? And so I'm just going to go straight through, right off from left to right. So the procedure, right? First step is be thoughtful and take the extra 30 seconds, right? And what I mean by that in this case is that when we get an inbound lead, right, there are a bunch of different things that we should do before we just reply to that answer, reply to that lead, right? And what I mean by that is like most of the traffic that we're getting is on social media, right? Maybe it's an Instagram or a TikTok or Facebook, wherever you're at, right? Except for maybe YouTube, you can't really do this. But anyway, being thoughtful and taking the extra 30 seconds, what that means in this case is I want you to make sure to review any information you can find out about this lead, right? So maybe you check their profile and you just take a peek at what they have going on, right? Maybe you see some cool photos, maybe you see they have a certain job, like a certain industry, right? But like basically I want you to start doing your research on this person before you reply back to their message, right? And the reason I want you to do that is because this will already start the conversation off on a better note, right? Because imagine now in the conversation, you can talk about, hey man, I saw you got a new dog, or hey, I saw that you were at this event. That looks dope, right? It's showing that you took the time to actually like learn about them, which will create more like trust between you and them, right? Because they're going to be surprised at how much you know or how much you've done your research. So that's what I mean by being thoughtful and taking an extra 30 seconds before we send a reply, right? So that's the first step. Now, the second step is once we've kind of like already like started that conversation with them, right? We've been thoughtful. We take the extra 30 seconds so we know what's going on. And now we've started that conversation. The first thing we want to do is establish credibility, right? And so you want to basically introduce yourself, right? Especially if this is a cold lead, right? Someone that's further back on the learning curve, right? Or somebody that maybe doesn't know a lot about you yet, right? There's not really any reason that they should listen to you at this moment. So what we want to do is establish credibility, right? So you're going to introduce yourself. You're going to provide any relevant background experience that demonstrates expertise in your industry. This could be things like how many students you've helped, how long you've been in the industry, or like a reference to a specific achievement, right? So you can say something like, hey, I've worked with hundreds of students on this or thousands of students on this. You can say I've been working in the industry for like 15 years. You could say something like I won a 2 Comma Club award, right? So whatever those noted, like whatever that credibility is going to do, right? Cool. The next one is like you're going to leverage like notable achievements, awards, or partnerships that your clients have earned. If you're a best-selling author, if you're a contributor to Forbes, anything like that, right? All these things are credibility. And so the way I like to think of credibility is like it's like anything that would make someone else like view you in a better light, right? So for an example here is like if I'm a best-selling author, right? Just the fact that I said best-selling author on Amazon, like that is a high credibility piece, right? Like most people are not best-selling authors, right? And so what I want you to do is I want you to find out like what are like your big credibility pieces that you can always lean on to help establish expertise, right? Establish credibility. Because it's like a lot of times it's not about what's being said, it's about who says it, right? So I like someone that's giving you medical advice, right? If they're a doctor, you're going to listen to them. But if they're not a doctor, even if they're right, you're not going to listen to them, right? So that's why credibility is so important. And we got to make sure to establish that right off the bat, right? Step number 3, right? We want to find out as much about them as possible, right? Find the history and find the pain, right? So we're going to find out about them in as much as possible, right? And as much as they're willing to share. We want to get like a full picture of this person is and what their life is like and why they messaged us about finding out about our service or the thing that we're offering, right? The more information we can gather, the better. And so the thing I like to remember here is like, I need to know a lot about this person, right? I need to know like what they do for a living, what their family's like a little bit, maybe some problems or struggles they're having right now, right? I want to get a full idea of who this person is. And I also want to find the pain, right? And so there's kind of like 2 examples of this. So I want to draw a picture real quick and it'll sink it in. Okay, so there's kind of 2 layers right here, right? There's the problem and then there's the pain. So usually when people ask questions, they only make it to the problem, they only make it through here, like this kind of top bit, a little bit through the problem area, right? And so here's an example of this would be like, hey, you're talking to someone and they say, I don't make a lot of money, right? Like that's the problem. But making a lot of money, like if someone tells me that they're not making a lot of money, that's not enough for me to get them to purchase something, right? I want to get to the pain, right? I want to find out what's happening as a result of them not having money, right? So if the problem is not having enough money, maybe the pain, if I go far enough down, hold on, sorry, I don't know why my thing is there. Anyway, we'll say I need to rewrite that the pain. Okay, so maybe my pain, there we go. Okay, we're just gonna ignore that error for the moment. But anyway, so we have the problem and the pain, right? And so for problem, let's say that the problem is I need to make more money, right? Well, great, that is a general problem, right? But the pain of that would be like, I need to make more money because I can't afford to take my wife on vacation, right? I need to make more money because my girlfriend's going to leave me soon, and I need to make more money because we're having financial issues, right? I need to make more money so I can pay for my medical expenses. I need to make more money because of what, right? And so that's what I mean by problem versus pain, right? We want to get to the pain. We want to make sure that we don't just talk about the surface level problems, because pain is where we actually get buying emotions and people will actually want to purchase because of those things. Usually if we just talk about the problems, people don't want to buy stuff. So that's something I want to point out right here in the conversational closing. So we'll go back to the document now. Okay, so what you're going to do is make sure to ask a bunch of open-ended questions, right? And you want to find out the lead's pain points, their challenges, or concerns that your thing could potentially address, right? Right here, I would say this is more discovery, right? This is us finding out more about them. This is not us pitching or anything yet, right? And then once we found the history and we found the pain, then we're going to make sure that we demonstrate that we're listening, right? So we're going to summarize and basically say what they said back to us, but in a succinct manner, right? So you're going to summarize and acknowledge the lead's pain point and confirming that you actually understood their concerns. A good language pattern here is basically, it seems like, or it sounds like, or if I'm understanding you correctly, right? And then you kind of reflect back what their pain points were. And this is a very important part because people want to feel like they are being heard. And so if you don't acknowledge what they said, if you don't reflect back, if you don't kind of make sure that our understanding is the same and get clarity, right? Then there's going to be issues down in the future, right? Because maybe they feel like we don't care about them. There's a bunch of other different things psychologically that kind of go into this, but we want to make sure we demonstrate that we're listening. Super important. Step number 5, we want to demonstrate that we're an expert, right? And so the way that we demonstrate that we're an expert is we basically show someone relevant insights, trends, or success stories that showcase your expertise in addressing the lead points, their lead's pain point, right? And so what I mean by this case is if you have a testimonial, or if you have screenshots of people telling you that you did awesome stuff, right? A lot of those things would apply right here. And so this demonstrates that I'm an expert, because not only am I credible, I'm a doctor, here's all my accolades, right? But it also can show you with a case study or with a testimonial that my stuff works, right? So that's demonstrating that not only I'm credible, I'm also an expert at the same time, right? And then another way you can demonstrate expertise is you can give them a little tidbit of information, right? A little splash, a little aha moment. So an example of this would be this baseball guy that I used to work with, right? And one of the things that he said to me at the time was, he was like, hey man, I am booking all these phone calls, right? I'm booking all these phone calls, but none of them are converting. I think I need better leads, right? And so we went and looked at his numbers, and we saw we kind of started looking, just diving in a little deeper and just kind of understanding a little bit more about his process and stuff like that. And then what I come to find out is that on the sales call, so just for context, his offer was teaching people how to get good at baseball so that way they could, potentially play in a minor or major league, right? And so come to find out, when I was talking to him about his sales process and stuff like that, he was not selling the parents, he was actually selling the player, right? Well, the player is only 15, 16 years old. How much? There's no way they're going to be able to afford a $5,000 offer, right? And so why would you be selling the kid whenever you need to be selling the parents, right? The ones with the money. And so that's an example of demonstrating experts. I told him, hey man, you don't actually have a lead problem, you have a closing problem, because you're closing the wrong person, right? And so the fact that I could listen to what he says, listen to his problem, listen to his pain, and then diagnose that shows that I'm an expert, right? And that's what I mean. Sometimes you can give someone that brief insight that will allow them to kind of move forward, right? And then Once you do that, you go into step number 6, which is you want to open the conversation to a solution, right? And so you want to kind of start introducing your product or service as a potential solution for the thing that they're looking for, right? But mainly focusing on the outcome that they're looking for. So they may say something like, yeah, man, I really need help with leads, or I really need help with closing. Well, continuing on the same example that I just had before, right? If it's like, if I told them, hey, man, like you need to actually get better at closing, it's like, well, is that something that we could help them with, right? You want to open that conversation to a solution. So I'm going to say, hey, is this something that you would be interested in getting help with, right? Is this something that you'd be interested in working on, or something to that phrase, right? You want to start opening that conversation to a solution now, right? And then step number 7 is we're going to show them the offer, right? And so in this case, for the Rainmaker system, showing the offer is actually sending a video, right? We have a very scripted video, right, that you guys have seen in other sections that we script out for this exact process, right? And it can be adapted for either booking a call, or it can be adapted for, selling in chat, right? We focus on selling in chat, but you can definitely do this to book calls as well, right? Then you're going to send the offer, right? They see the video, and then once they see the video, then we go into step number 8, which is overcoming objections, right? And so overcoming objections is basically, and I'll go a little deeper into this in other trainings, but basically there's like the really 3 main ones, right? It's, I don't have enough time, I don't know the details, and like what's in it for me, or like I'm not sure if this will work for me, right? And so as long as we can answer those 3 objections, usually we handle most of them, right? But basically, until the lead actually has a solid understanding of how your product's going to help them, how they are going to like get the results that you're promising, right? Like until they actually understand that, they're not going to buy, right? A principle that I like to follow here is confused prospects never buy. And so in this case, right, a lot of the questions that people are going to ask sometimes are clarifying questions, right? And what I mean by that is like they might be clarifying the payments, or they might be clarifying how much time they're going to be spending with you. They might be clarifying, components of the offer itself, right? And so this is that phase where we will start overcoming the objections, and it's super important for us to be an expert here to be able to do that. And then step number 9 is we collect that cash, right? And so you'll notice that this process is, like I said, it's a framework, right? You're going to follow it step by step. And this is pretty much exactly how we close deals in chat without phone calls, right? So there's going to be more videos going over this process a little more in detail, right? This is like the framework overview, and then you'll see some case studies and stuff like that from us in future videos. But I'm going to end this one right here. Hope that was enjoyable, and I'll chat with you very soon. Peace.